time we blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
What's up, guys? My name is Brendan, and today I want to talk to you about injury. As you guys know, tricking is an extremely physically demanding sport. You are launching your body into the air, often on just one foot. And that is risky. Often along their path to learning the sport, tricking athletes will get a few injuries along the way. I figured today would be a great opportunity to show you guys my collection of injuries, the stuff that has happened to me and how I've recovered from it. Before I get started, I want to make a small disclaimer. I am not a doctor, and I am not entitled to give a medical opinion or a diagnosis. Guys, that's just not within my skill set or my education. But I've learned a lot from injuring myself and recovering along the way. And that's what I want to share with you guys. So keep in mind, none of this is my medical opinion. It's just my personal experience and what I've learned from it. I'm gonna be talking to you guys about my torn ACL, my shoulder impingement, my broken wrist, my fractured hip, and the many, many times I have sprained my ankles. I am so glad to be able to share this with you. So with that said, let's get started. First, I want to talk to you guys about my ACL tear. And this was a really bad injury that happened to my right knee. I'll be showing you guys some of the scars that I got. When you tear your ACL, it stands for anterior cruciate ligament. There are two ligaments that are really important within your knee to keep it from twisting to the side. They're extremely important for stabilization. There is your ACL, your anterior cruciate ligament, and then your PCL, your posterior cruciate ligament. I tore the ACL, and I also tore my meniscus, and I strained a ton of the other ligaments in my knee. Guys, this injury really took me out. I had to get surgery and a hamstring graft. When you get a hamstring graft for your ACL, they take two of the muscles in your hamstring, they shred the tendon off of them, and they braid that tendon and use that as a replacement for your ACL. What that means is my right leg will be permanently weaker than my left because it's literally missing muscle. And guys, that's not a bad thing. I just need to keep it in mind. Be constantly conditioning to keep this leg strong and to keep it healthy and stable. This injury really did take a toll. I was out of the game for a long time, and that's not a bad thing. Because I took time to step back and recover, now I'm stronger than I was before. Plus, when I tore my ACL, I was convinced I'd never be able to compete at a strong level again. So I started the Mastering series, which eventually became Mastering Tricking. Guys, whenever you get injured, whenever you have a dark spot in your life, try and make something positive out of it. This knee, while it damaged me and it still weakens me to this day, it made my life better, and it continues to make my life better. Guys, take care of your body and try and make every injury a positive experience. And now that I've talked about my knee, I'm gonna move to my shoulder, which was kind of caused by my knee. Second, I wanna talk to you about my shoulder impingement. And this happened on my left shoulder. You see, for me, training has always been a sort of medication. I have extremely strong ADHD and more energy than any one person typically needs. So I like to relieve that energy by excessive training. And unfortunately, after I hurt my knee, I couldn't train at all. My body really needed to focus on healing that knee. But I still had way more energy than I needed and not enough self-control to contain it. So I would practice handstands. and I would do presses again and again and again, and I'd just be on my hands for hours. And I did this until I wounded another part of my body. While trying to relieve energy while I was healing from my ACL tear, I accidentally got shoulder impingement in my left shoulder. And then after that, I was completely out of body parts. I had to stop training altogether until I got better, until I was able to deal with my knee and then heal my shoulder. If you are recovering from an injury, don't get more injuries along the way. It's something that I do constantly. And when you don't have the opportunity to train and you still have too much energy, find an outlet. Find some way to release all of that tension so that way you're able to let your body focus on healing. Now guys, after I talk about my shoulder impingement, I'm now gonna talk about my broken wrist. Third, I want to talk to you about my broken wrist. And it's a pretty funny story in retrospect. You see, when I was a kid, I was training competitive Olympic style Taekwondo, and I was really passionate about it. And one day I was out playing on the swing set when I fell on my hand, and I might not have known it at the time, but I broke my wrist. I kind of hid it from my family and my coaches because I wanted to keep training. I kept competing and training on a broken wrist for the better total of 3 years. And guys, by the end of that 3 years, the two bones that had initially broken had fused and become one. So I had to get surgery. I had to go in, get my wrist opened up, they rebroke the bone, and they put a pin to set it. And to this day, my right wrist is a little bit weaker than my left. And this injury taught me a really powerful lesson. If you ever get hurt, take the time to get better. An injury that is not dealt with will only get worse as you let it fester and grow. Whenever you get hurt, deal with it. Find a way to take care of your body and recover to where you were before. I will never neglect an injury like I neglected my wrist, and I would not recommend anybody else do it. Whenever you get hurt, take care of your body and heal in the best way possible. Fourth, I want to talk to you about my fractured hip. And the story is pretty funny. It happened to me when I was in the 9th grade. When I was young, I loved to show off, and I would do it pretty consistently. At a friend's Sweet 16, I was climbing a wall outside the facility when a brick slipped. I fell about 9 feet and the brick fell onto my hip. I had to get 3 stitches on my hip. My quad had detached and I was limping, letting my leg kind of swing for about a month. It looked really silly. Guys, this injury taught me a really important lesson. Don't get hurt showing off. It's never worth it. If you're going to get hurt, do it training, doing something cool, or just it happens. But don't get hurt for some dumb reason like trying to show off at a birthday party. It just doesn't make sense and it's not worth it. So guys, now that I've told you the funny story of my fractured hip, I'm gonna talk about the many, many times I have sprained my ankles. Fifth, I want to talk to you about sprained ankles. And this is one of the most common injuries in tricking. Me personally, I've sprained both my ankles many, many times. I've sprained my right ankle on stuff like 540 and side swipe, and I've sprained my left on things like gainer switch or cork. Whenever I get an ankle sprain, it usually has the same cause. I rush. I'm trying to do tricks my body is not ready for, or I'm trying to go hard at a session where my body is just too tired. One of the best ways that I prevent ankle sprains, and I recommend that you do, is by monitoring your progression and being really aware of how your body is feeling. If your body is really tired, it's not the best day to work triple cork. You might under-rotate one and sprain your ankle. If I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, I don't train my hardest tricks because it risks my body. If you want to avoid ankle sprains, just monitor your progression and be extremely self-aware of your body's current physical ability. Thank you so much for watching. Keep in mind, this is not all of the injuries I've collected. I didn't even start to talk about the number of times I've kicked my swing leg on the ground and hurt my big toe. There are a bunch of injuries that come with physicality and just being an active person. But keep in mind, you only get one body, and it will follow you for the rest of your athletic career. All of the injuries that I've gotten so far are pretty heavy, but they haven't kept me from progressing. Every time you get injured, just use that as an opportunity to learn more about your body and to come back stronger. Thank you guys again, and have a lovely day.